Fear is an Illusion. Summary of the book. Published by Audiobooks HUB. Introduction. Exposing the greatest deception. Imagine standing on the edge of a life-changing decision. You have a chance to take a bold step forward, but something holds you back. Your mind fills with doubts. What if I fail? What will people think? I'm not good enough. This is fear. And it feels so real that it paralyzes you. But here's the truth, fear is an illusion. It has no physical form. It cannot strike you, it cannot tie your hands. It exists only in your mind, a phantom that grows stronger the more you believe in it. Fear is programming. It has been passed down to you through upbringing, society, and past experiences. But what if I told you that fear can be reprogrammed? That it can be used as a tool rather than a chain? In this book, we will look at fear from a new perspective. You will learn how fear tricks you into making the wrong decisions. Why most of your fears never come true. Practical methods to free yourself from its grip. How to use fear as fuel for personal growth. This book is not just words. It's a roadmap to freedom. If you read to the end and apply what you learn, fear will no longer control your life. Are you ready to take the first step? Let's begin. Chapter 1. The nature of fear. What is fear? Fear is a deeply ingrained emotion designed to keep us safe. It is an evolutionary mechanism that helped our ancestors survive by alerting them to danger. In the past, fear was crucial, helping humans escape predators, avoid dangerous situations, and stay alive. But in modern society, where physical threats are rare, fear often works against us rather than for us. Today, fear manifests in different forms: fear of failure, rejection, embarrassment, and even success. Unlike our ancestors, we are no longer running from wild animals, but we are constantly running from imagined dangers, what others might think, what could go wrong, or what the future might bring. But here's the key realization: fear is not a fact. It is a mental construct, a projection of the mind. It feels real, but in most cases, it is completely irrational. The illusion of fear. Think about the last time you were afraid to do something, maybe speaking in public, making a difficult decision, or starting something new. What actually happened? Most likely, the worst-case scenario you imagined never became reality. Yet, the fear you felt was real, as if you were facing an actual threat. This is because fear is an emotional response, not an objective truth. The mind creates terrifying scenarios that rarely, if ever, materialize. A study in psychology found that 85% of the things people worry about never actually happen. And for the 15% that do, the majority turn out to be far less catastrophic than expected. In other words, we spend most of our lives fearing things that are either impossible or insignificant. How fear controls you. Fear operates through three main mechanisms. Paralysis, fear stops you from taking action. You hesitate, procrastinate, or completely avoid situations that could lead to growth. Distortion, fear makes things seem worse than they really are. Your mind magnifies the risks and downplays your ability to handle them. Control, fear influences your decisions, leading you to play small, seek safety, and avoid discomfort, even when growth and success lie beyond that discomfort. The problem is that fear is so ingrained in us that we don't even realize when it's in control. We tell ourselves logical reasons why we shouldn't do something, but in reality, it's fear whispering in our ears. Overcoming fear, the first step. The first and most important step in overcoming fear is recognizing it for what it is, an illusion. The moment you see fear as a mental projection rather than a reality, it begins to lose its power over you. A simple but effective practice is to ask yourself, is this fear based on a real, immediate threat, or is it just my imagination? Has this fear ever actually harmed me in the past? If I ignored this fear and took action anyway, what's the worst that could really happen? Most of the time, the answers will reveal that the fear is irrational and exaggerated. Fear is a habit, and it can be broken. Just like any habit, fear grows stronger the more you feed it. The more you avoid situations that scare you, the more power fear gains over you. The only way to break the cycle is to face it. The best way to start is by taking small actions that go against your fears. If you fear speaking up, start by sharing your thoughts in small conversations. If you fear rejection, make a habit of talking to strangers. Each time you act in spite of fear, it weakens. In the next chapter, we will explore practical techniques to dismantle fear and turn it into a source of strength. Key takeaway: fear is an illusion. It exists only in your mind and is often exaggerated. Recognizing this is the first step toward breaking free from its control. Chapter 2. Reprogramming your mind to overcome fear. The mind is a fear factory. Your mind is incredibly powerful. It has the ability to create entire worlds, predict possible futures, and replay past events in vivid detail. But this same power can also work against you. When left unchecked, the mind becomes a fear factory, constantly producing worries, doubts, and worst-case scenarios. Fear is not always based on reality. It is a byproduct of your thoughts, beliefs, and past experiences. Most fears are simply mental programs, patterns you have learned over time, often without realizing it. The good news? Just like any program, fear can be rewritten. The power of perception. Two people can experience the same situation and react in completely different ways. One may feel terrified, while the other sees it as an exciting challenge. Why? Because fear is largely based on perception. Imagine two individuals preparing for a public speech. One is sweating, shaking, and consumed by anxiety, thinking, "Everyone will judge me." The other is energized and excited, thinking, "This is my chance to share my ideas." The event is the same, but their perceptions shape their experience. This means that fear is not in the event itself, it is in how you interpret the event. Change the interpretation, and the fear disappears. How to rewire your fear response. Fear is a habit of thinking, and like any habit, it can be changed with practice. Here are 3 powerful techniques to reprogram your mind. The what if? Reversal technique. Your mind often asks negative what if questions, fueling your fear. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if people judge me? Flip these questions into empowering ones. What if I succeed? What if this experience makes me stronger? What if people admire my courage? By consciously shifting your what-if questions, you redirect your focus from fear to possibility. The exposure principle. Fear thrives on avoidance. The more you avoid something, the stronger your fear becomes. The only way to weaken fear is to expose yourself to it, gradually and repeatedly. If you fear rejection, practice talking to strangers every day. If you fear failure, take small risks in areas where failure is manageable. If you fear speaking up, challenge yourself to express an opinion in every conversation. Over time, your brain learns that the feared situation is not dangerous, and the fear fades. The power of visualization. Your brain does not distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. This is why athletes, performers, and even military professionals use visualization to train their minds. Try this. Close your eyes and imagine yourself facing your fear with total confidence. See yourself succeeding, handling the situation smoothly. Feel the emotions of success, relief, excitement, pride. The more you practice this, the more your mind begins to associate the feared situation with confidence instead of anxiety. Turning fear into fuel. Fear is just energy. Instead of letting it paralyze you, you can learn to channel it into action. The next time you feel fear, use these steps. Acknowledge it. Say to yourself, I feel fear, and that's okay. Accept it without resistance. Reframe it. Instead of saying I'm scared, say I'm excited. Fear and excitement feel almost the same in the body, the only difference is perception. Take a small action. Fear weakens the moment you take a step forward. Even a tiny action will break its hold on you. The fearless mindset. A fearless person is not someone who never feels fear. It is someone who has trained their mind to move forward despite fear. Every time you confront fear and take action anyway, you prove to yourself that fear has no real power over you. Key takeaway. Fear is a learned response, and it can be unlearned. By changing your perception, exposing yourself to fear, and using visualization, you can reprogram your mind to turn fear into confidence. In the next chapter, we will explore the role of the subconscious mind in fear, and how to break free from deep-rooted mental conditioning. Chapter 3. The subconscious mind, breaking free from deep-rooted fear. How your subconscious controls fear. Most of your fears don't come from conscious thought. They come from your subconscious mind, an invisible force that shapes your beliefs, reactions, and decisions without you even realizing it. Think of the subconscious as a hard drive. From early childhood, it absorbs every experience, every emotion, and every fear. If you were criticized for speaking up as a child, your subconscious may have created a belief that expressing myself is dangerous. If you failed at something and were shamed for it, your mind may have recorded, failure means I'm not good enough. These subconscious beliefs don't just disappear. They remain hidden, influencing your actions and making you afraid of things that are no longer real threats. But here's the truth, your subconscious mind can be reprogrammed. Uncovering hidden fears. To break free from deep-rooted fear, you must first bring it to the surface. Try this simple exercise. Identify a recurring fear. Maybe it's fear of failure, rejection, or looking foolish. Ask yourself, when did I first start feeling this fear? Look for patterns. Was there a specific event in childhood, school, or past relationships that may have created this fear? Challenge the belief. Ask, is this fear based on fact, or is it just a past experience controlling me? You'll often realize that the fear was programmed into you by past events, not because it is truly dangerous today. How to reprogram your subconscious mind. Now that you've identified your subconscious fears, it's time to rewrite them. Here are 3 powerful methods. Affirmations, rewriting the script. Your subconscious mind believes what it hears repeatedly. If you've been telling yourself I'm not good enough for years, your subconscious will treat it as truth. But the opposite is also true. If you repeatedly affirm a new belief, your subconscious will accept it. Try this. Every morning, stand in front of a mirror and say, I am confident. I am fearless. I take action no matter what. Write down a positive statement that contradicts your fear and repeat it throughout the day. At first, it may feel strange. But over time, your subconscious will start to accept the new belief as reality. Visualization, training your mind for courage. Just as fear can be programmed into you, courage can be programmed too. Visualization is a powerful way to do this. Here's how. Close your eyes and imagine yourself facing your fear with complete confidence. See yourself succeeding, staying calm, and handling the situation effortlessly. The more you practice, the more your brain will accept this as your new reality. Studies show that visualization activates the same brain regions as actually experiencing success. This means your mind starts treating confidence as natural, rather than something forced. The reframe the past exercise. A fear that once protected you may now be limiting you. This exercise helps you reframe old experiences so they no longer control you. Think of a past experience that created fear in you. Instead of seeing it as a failure, ask, what lesson did this experience teach me? Imagine your past self going through that moment, but now with confidence and power. By changing how you view past events, you change the impact they have on your present mindset. Taking back control. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It's simply a machine running old programs. But you are the programmer. You have the power to install new beliefs that serve you, rather than limit you. Whenever fear tries to control you, remind yourself. Fear is just a past program, not a truth. I can rewrite my beliefs anytime I choose. Confidence is something I build, not something I'm born with. Key takeaway. Fear lives in the subconscious, but you have the power to reprogram it. By using affirmations, visualization, and reframing past experiences, you can take back control and replace fear with courage. In the next chapter, we will explore how to take action even when fear is present, and how action itself destroys fear. Chapter 4. Action is the antidote to fear. Why fear fades when you take action. Fear thrives in inaction. The longer you wait, hesitate, or overthink, the stronger fear becomes. But the moment you take action, even a small step, fear starts to dissolve. Think about it. Have you ever worried about a situation for days, but once you finally faced it, you realized it wasn't as bad as you imagined? This is because fear is mostly an illusion, created by your mind. The only way to truly test whether your fear is real is to confront it through action. The paralysis of overthinking. One of the biggest traps fear creates is overthinking. When faced with a challenge, your mind starts running endless what-if scenarios. What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm not good enough? These thoughts keep you frozen, unable to move forward. But here's the truth: action eliminates overthinking. The moment you shift from thinking to doing, your mind focuses on the task instead of the fear. The 5-second rule, a simple trick to overcome hesitation. Mel Robbins, a well-known motivational speaker, developed a technique called the 5-second rule to stop overthinking and take immediate action. The rule is simple. Whenever you feel fear or hesitation, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and take action immediately. Why does this work? Because it interrupts the fear-based thought patterns and forces your brain to shift into movement before self-doubt takes over. Try it. If you're afraid to speak up in a meeting, count 5-4-3-2-1 and raise your hand. If you're procrastinating on an important task, count 5-4-3-2-1 and start. If you want to approach someone new but feel nervous, count 5-4-3-2-1 and walk over. Building the action habit. Courage isn't something you magically wake up with, it's a muscle that gets stronger with use. The more you take action despite fear, the more fearless you become. Here's how to train yourself to act instead of hesitate. Start small, but start now. You don't have to make a huge leap, just a small step is enough to break fear's grip. If you fear public speaking, don't wait for a big speech. Start by speaking up in small groups. If you fear rejection, start by saying hello to a stranger. Small wins build confidence. Create a fear list. Make a list of small actions that push you outside your comfort zone. Every day, pick one and do it. The goal isn't to be fearless instantly, but to build momentum over time. Examples. Speak to a stranger. Say no to something you don't want to do. Try something new you've been avoiding. Adopt the fear equals GO mindset. Most people see fear as a stop sign. But what if you saw fear as a signal to move forward instead? A great trick is to reframe fear as an indicator that you're about to grow. Whenever you feel fear, say to yourself, "This means I'm stepping outside my comfort zone. This means I'm growing. This means I must take action." By making this your mindset, you turn fear from an obstacle into a green light for action. Courage is built, not given. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite fear. Every time you act in the face of fear, you reprogram your brain to see action as the solution. Key takeaway. Fear fades when you take action. Use the 5-second rule, start with small steps, and train yourself to see fear as a sign to move forward, not backward. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to build unshakable confidence so that fear stops controlling your life entirely. Chapter 5. How to build unshakable confidence. Confidence, the ultimate fear destroyer. Fear and confidence cannot coexist. The stronger your confidence, the weaker your fear. But here's an important truth. Confidence is not something you are born with, it is something you build. Many people believe that confident individuals are just naturally fearless, but that's a myth. Confidence comes from action, experience, and mindset shifts. The good news? You can train yourself to become unshakably confident, no matter where you're starting from. The 3 pillars of confidence. Confidence is built on 3 key pillars. Self-trust, believing in your ability to handle challenges. Competence, developing skills that make you feel capable. Resilience, learning to bounce back from failure. Each of these can be trained, step by step. Let's break them down. Pillar number 1, self-trust, keeping promises to yourself. Have you ever made a commitment to yourself but then broken it? Maybe you said you'd wake up early, go to the gym, or start a new project, but you didn't follow through. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your confidence. Why? Because deep down, you teach your mind that your own word isn't reliable. How to build self-trust. Start small. Pick one simple habit, like making your bed, drinking water in the morning, or reading 5 pages of a book. Follow through no matter what. Never break a promise to yourself. If you say you'll do something, do it, even if it's small. Celebrate small wins. Every time you follow through, acknowledge it. This reinforces self-trust. When you trust yourself, fear has no control over you. Pillar number 2, competence, the confidence shortcut. Imagine 2 people. Person A has never given a public speech before. Person B has spoken in front of 50 different audiences. Who will be more confident on stage? Clearly, person B, because confidence comes from competence. The more skilled you are, the less fear you feel. How to build competence. Get more reps. If something scares you, do it repeatedly until it becomes familiar. Practice on a small scale. If you fear speaking, start by speaking in front of a mirror. Then practice with a friend. Then a small group. Use the exposure ladder. Start with the easiest version of what scares you and slowly increase the challenge. The more you do, the more your brain learns. This isn't scary, I'm good at this. Pillar number 3, resilience, turning failure into power. Fear of failure stops most people from even trying. But what if failure wasn't something to fear? What if failure was actually your greatest advantage? Here's what confident people know: failure is feedback. Every mistake teaches you what to improve, making you stronger. How to build resilience. Reframe failure as learning. When something doesn't go as planned, ask, what can I learn from this? Adopt a fail-fast mentality. The faster you fail, the faster you improve. Instead of avoiding failure, seek small failures so you can grow. Develop a bounce-back ritual. After every setback, immediately take one action toward progress. This trains your brain to see failure as temporary. The confidence formula: action, evidence, belief. Confidence doesn't come from thinking, it comes from evidence. The more times you take action, the more proof your brain has that you're capable. Take action. Even if you feel fear, move forward. Gather evidence. Every success, big or small, is proof that you can do it. Strengthen belief. Over time, you start believing in yourself naturally. This cycle is what turns ordinary people into unshakably confident individuals. Key takeaway. Confidence isn't something you have, it's something you build. Strengthen your self-trust, grow your competence, and develop resilience. When you do, fear loses its power over you. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to completely shift your identity, so you no longer see yourself as someone who deals with fear, but as someone who is truly fearless. Chapter 6. Rewriting your identity, becoming fearless. Fear is part of who you are, until it's not. Most people think of fear as something external, something that happens to them. But fear is actually rooted in your identity. If you see yourself as a fearful person, you will continue to act with hesitation, no matter how much motivation you have. Your identity shapes your behavior. If you believe you're a shy person, you'll avoid social situations. If you believe you're bad at public speaking, you'll panic before a presentation. If you believe you're afraid of failure, you'll hesitate to take risks. But what if you could change your identity? What if you could become someone who is naturally fearless? The power of identity shifting. Your brain is always looking for ways to stay consistent with your self-image. This means, if you see yourself as afraid of rejection, your brain will reinforce that by making you feel anxious around people. If you see yourself as bad at taking risks, you'll instinctively avoid opportunities. But if you see yourself as a bold, confident person, your brain will look for ways to act accordingly. To truly eliminate fear, you must shift your identity at the core. You must become the kind of person who is fearless, not just someone who fights against fear. Step 1. Define your new identity. Ask yourself, who do I want to be? Instead of thinking, I want to be less afraid, think, I am a person who takes action despite fear. I am someone who thrives in uncertainty. I am confident in my ability to handle anything. Write this identity down. The more clearly you define it, the easier it will be to embody. Step 2. Act as if until it becomes real. Your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. This means you can act like the person you want to be, before you feel like that person. This is called identity-based action. If you want to be confident, ask yourself, how would a confident person act right now? Then do it. If you want to be fearless, ask, what would a fearless person do in this situation? Then do it. When you repeatedly act in alignment with your desired identity, your brain starts believing it's who you actually are. Step 3. Destroy the labels that hold you back. Many of your fears are reinforced by the labels you've given yourself over the years. I'm just a shy person. I'm not good under pressure. I'm not a risk taker. These labels are not facts, they are just repeated thoughts. And thoughts can be changed. Try this. Write down every label you've given yourself that creates fear. Challenge it by asking, is this absolutely true? Or is this just a belief I've repeated? Replace it with a new identity statement. For example, I'm bad at speaking in front of people. I'm becoming a powerful speaker every time I practice. Your brain listens to the words you use. Change your language. and you'll change your self-perception. Step 4. Reprogram your mind with daily reinforcement. Fear-based identities have been programmed into you over years. To rewrite them, you need consistent reinforcement. Here's how. Use I am statements daily. Every morning, affirm your new identity. I am fearless and take bold action. I embrace uncertainty and thrive in it. I trust myself to handle anything. Say them out loud. Write them down. Make them your reality. Surround yourself with fearless influences. Your environment shapes your identity. If you spend time with fearful, hesitant people, their mindset will influence you. But if you surround yourself with confident, bold individuals, their mindset will lift you up. Follow fearless people online. Read books about courage and action. Spend time with people who push you beyond your comfort zone. Track every win, no matter how small. Your brain needs evidence that you're changing. Keep a fearless journal where you write down every time you faced a fear and took action. Examples. Spoke up in a meeting. Said yes to a new opportunity. Pushed past self-doubt and took action. Every time you see proof that you're changing, your new identity solidifies. Key takeaway. Fear isn't just an emotion, it's part of your identity. To eliminate fear, you must become someone who is naturally fearless. Define the fearless person you want to be. Act as if you're already that person. Break the old labels that hold you back. Reprogram your mind daily with reinforcement. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to master your emotions, so that fear never controls your decisions again. Chapter 7. Mastering your emotions, taking control of fear. Fear is an emotional response, not a reality. Fear feels real. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and your mind tells you that danger is near. But in most cases, the danger is not real, only the emotional response is. Fear is simply a signal from your nervous system, not a fact. It does not mean something bad will happen. It does not mean you should stop. It is only an internal reaction to an external stimulus. If you learn to control your emotions, you can prevent fear from controlling your life. Step 1. Name the emotion to control it. Studies show that when you label an emotion, it loses its power over you. Instead of letting fear overwhelm you, pause and say, I feel fear right now. I feel anxious about this situation. I feel nervous about the unknown. This simple act moves fear from the emotional part of your brain to the rational part. The moment you name it, you create distance between yourself and the emotion. Step 2. Separate fear from your actions. Most people assume that they must feel confident before taking action. This is a mistake. Confidence comes after action, not before. You do not need to feel fearless to act. You do not need to feel ready to begin. You do not need to eliminate fear to move forward. Train yourself to act despite fear by saying, I feel afraid, and I am doing it anyway. Fear is present, but it does not decide my actions. I can feel uncomfortable and still take the next step. The more you separate emotion from action, the less fear will control your life. Step 3. Shift your physical state to reduce fear. Fear is not just in your mind, it also lives in your body. When you are afraid, your body tenses, your breathing becomes shallow, and your muscles prepare for danger. You can reverse fear by changing your physical state. Try this simple technique. Take control of your breathing. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Repeat until your heart rate slows. Change your posture. Stand tall, shoulders back, head high. Fear shrinks you, confidence expands you. Move your body. Shake out tension. Go for a short walk. Use movement to reset your nervous system. Your emotions follow your physical state. Change your body, and your mind will follow. Step 4. Use logic to challenge fear. Fear thrives on exaggeration. Your mind takes a small possibility and turns it into a massive disaster. To neutralize fear, use logic. Ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? Often, the worst-case scenario is not as bad as you imagine. Ask, how likely is this to happen? Fear makes rare events feel inevitable. Look at the facts. Ask, if the worst happens, how will I handle it? Fear weakens when you realize you can adapt and recover. By breaking fear down into logical steps, you reduce its power over you. Step 5. Rewire your fear response with exposure. The more you avoid fear, the stronger it becomes. The more you face it, the weaker it gets. The fastest way to overcome fear is through gradual exposure. Try this. Identify something that scares you. Break it into small, manageable steps. Face a small version of the fear daily. For example, if you fear public speaking, start by speaking in front of one person. If you fear rejection, practice saying hello to strangers. If you fear failure, take small risks in low-stakes situations. Each time you expose yourself to fear, your brain learns that it is not dangerous. Over time, the fear response weakens until it disappears. Key takeaway. Fear is just an emotional response, not a reality. You can control it by naming the emotion to reduce its intensity, separating fear from action and taking steps forward anyway, changing your physical state to shift out of fear, using logic to challenge exaggerated thoughts, facing fear through gradual exposure until it loses its power. In the next chapter, we will explore how to make fear your greatest ally and use it as a tool for growth and success. Chapter 8. Turning fear into your greatest ally. Fear is not the enemy, it's a guide. Most people try to eliminate fear, believing it is a weakness. But fear is not your enemy, it is a signal. It points you toward growth, opportunity, and potential. If you learn to use fear instead of avoiding it, it becomes your greatest ally. It shows you where to go next, what challenges to face, and where your greatest rewards lie. Step 1. Identify what fear is telling you. Instead of running from fear, listen to it. Ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? What is fear trying to protect me from? Is this fear based on real danger or imagined failure? Often, fear signals an area of life where you need to grow. If something scares you, it means it matters. It means there is something valuable on the other side of fear. Step 2. Change your perspective on fear. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, see it as a compass. Fear does not mean stop, it means pay attention. Fear does not mean avoid, it means this is important. Fear does not mean you are weak, it means you are stepping into growth. Ask yourself, what if fear was proof that I am on the right path? The more you reframe fear as a guide, the more you can use it as a tool for success. Step 3. Use fear to increase your focus and performance. Fear creates energy. Your heart beats faster, your senses sharpen, and your brain becomes highly alert. Instead of letting this energy overwhelm you, channel it into action. Use this simple process. Acknowledge the fear. I feel fear, and that's okay. Shift your focus to action. What is one thing I can do right now? Use the energy to perform better. Fear is just fuel, use it to push forward instead of holding back. Many top athletes, performers, and public speakers feel fear before big moments, but they do not try to eliminate it. They convert fear into focus and power. Step 4. Take action before fear grows. The longer you wait, the stronger fear becomes. If you hesitate, your mind starts creating worst-case scenarios. The best way to shrink fear is to take immediate action. Even a small step forward can break fear's grip. Ask yourself, what is one action I can take right now? How can I face this fear in the smallest way today? Each time you act despite fear, it loses power over you. Step 5. Use fear to reveal your hidden strengths. Fear forces you to dig deeper. It pushes you beyond your comfort zone, unlocking strength you did not know you had. Think back to a time when you were afraid but acted anyway. You likely discovered that you were more capable than you thought. You handled the situation better than you expected. The worst-case scenario was not as bad as you imagined. When you embrace fear, you develop resilience, confidence, and mental toughness. Key takeaway. Fear is not something to eliminate, it is something to use. Listen to fear, it shows you where to grow. Reframe fear, it is not a stop sign, but a guide. Convert fear into action, use its energy to improve performance. Act quickly, do not let fear grow stronger. See fear as a tool, it reveals your hidden strengths. In the next chapter, we will explore how to develop unshakable courage and move through life with unstoppable confidence. Chapter 9. Developing unshakable courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Many people believe that courage means not feeling fear, but this is a myth. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the ability to act despite fear. Every courageous person you admire, leaders, athletes, pioneers, felt fear. The difference is that they did not let fear stop them. Instead, they learned how to move forward in spite of it. If you want to develop unshakable courage, you must train yourself to take action even when fear is present. Step 1. Make fear a habit. Fear is like a muscle. The more you face it, the stronger your courage becomes. But if you always avoid fear, your courage weakens, and fear takes control. Try this. Do one small thing that scares you every day. Speak up in a meeting. Start a conversation with a stranger. Say yes to an opportunity before you feel ready. Build up gradually. Start with small fears. Once you handle those, take on bigger ones. Over time, your brain learns that fear is not a barrier, it is just an illusion. Step 2. Stop overthinking, act fast. The more time you spend thinking about fear, the stronger it grows. Fear feeds on hesitation. To break the cycle, use the 5-second rule. The moment you feel fear, count down from 5 and take action. Do not negotiate with fear. Do not wait to feel ready. Courage is a decision, not an emotion. If you take action before fear talks you out of it, you build mental strength. Step 3. Use what if to your advantage. Fear loves to ask negative what if questions. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I embarrass myself? Flip the script. Use positive what if questions instead. What if I succeed? What if this changes my life? What if I grow stronger from this experience? Your mind will always create scenarios. Choose the ones that empower you, not the ones that paralyze you. Step 4. Use your past as proof. Think back to a time when you felt afraid but took action anyway. Did the worst happen? Did you handle it better than you expected? Did you grow stronger because of it? Fear tricks you into believing you are helpless, but your past proves otherwise. You have already overcome fears before, you can do it again. Step 5. Redefine failure. One of the biggest reasons people lack courage is the fear of failure. But failure is not the opposite of success, it is the path to success. Every mistake is a lesson. Every setback is growth. Every failure makes you stronger. Courageous people do not avoid failure, they embrace it. They know that the only true failure is never trying at all. Key takeaway. Unshakable courage is built through action. Fear does not disappear, you must learn to move forward with it. Face small fears daily to strengthen your courage. Act fast before fear takes over. 5 seconds, then move. Reframe fear, ask what if I succeed, instead of what if I fail. Use your past as proof, you have conquered fear before, and you will again. Redefine failure, it is not the end, but part of the journey. In the final chapter, we will bring everything together and explore how to live a fearless life every day. Chapter 10. Living a fearless life every day. Fear will never disappear, and that's okay. The biggest misconception about fear is that one day, it will vanish completely. The truth is, fear will always exist, but it doesn't have to control you. A fearless life doesn't mean a life without fear. It means living in a way where fear no longer dictates your choices, actions, and potential. It means recognizing fear for what it truly is, an illusion, and moving forward anyway. The key to living fearlessly is not eliminating fear, but learning to act despite it, using it as fuel for growth and transformation. Step 1. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Many people wait to feel ready before taking action. They believe they need more confidence, more preparation, or the right timing. But waiting kills progress. You will never feel 100% ready. The perfect moment does not exist. Courage comes after action, not before it. The only way to break free from fear is to start now. Not tomorrow, Not next week. Now. Step 2. Make fear-based decisions consciously. Fear will always try to guide your choices. But instead of reacting automatically, ask yourself, am I making this decision because of fear or because of logic? If fear wasn't a factor, what would I do? Will I regret not taking this action later? Most of the time, the thing you fear the most is the thing you need to do. Train yourself to recognize fear-based decisions and challenge them. Step 3. Surround yourself with fearless energy. Fear is contagious, but so is courage. If you constantly surround yourself with people who let fear control them, you will do the same. If you surround yourself with action takers, risk takers, and people who challenge themselves, their mindset will influence you. Seek out people who take action despite fear. Mentors who push you beyond your comfort zone. Books, podcasts, and content that inspire boldness. Your environment shapes your mindset. Choose it wisely. Step 4. Keep a fear journal. Each day, write down what scared you today, how you responded to it, what you learned from the experience. Over time, this practice will show you how often fear tries to hold you back, how many times you overcame it, how much stronger you are becoming. Fear loses its power when you observe it instead of reacting to it blindly. Step 5. Celebrate small acts of courage. Courage is not about huge, dramatic acts. It is built in small daily choices, every time you speak up when you're afraid. Say yes to a challenge. Take action despite self-doubt. Each time you do something that scares you, you rewire your brain. You prove to yourself that fear is just a feeling, not a barrier. Key takeaway: a fearless life is a choice. Living without fear is not about removing it, it's about refusing to let it control you. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, start now. Make fear-based decisions consciously, challenge them. Surround yourself with courageous energy, fearless people, ideas, and actions. Track your progress, keep a fear journal. Celebrate small wins, every act of courage makes you stronger. Final thought. Fear will always whisper doubts in your mind. It will try to stop you from growing, from taking risks, from living fully. But now, you know the truth. Fear is just an illusion. It has no real power unless you give it power. The choice is yours. Will you let fear control your life? Or will you take action, step forward, and claim the fearless life that is waiting for you? The answer is clear. Go forward. Live boldly. Fear nothing.